Hey, what's up, everybody? DNF. Today, I want to talk about how I tripled my income in less than 3 years. So, kind of the problem that I was stuck in a role or position, and I'm going to ask you that. Have you ever been stuck in a role or position where you just couldn't get promoted for the life of you? I was stuck in the same role for 9 years despite growing a business from zero to $8 million, promoting an insane number of managers, 16 managers to 27 positions, hitting every metric, hitting metric after metric, and having the highest employee engagement in the marketplace. So, if you've ever been through this and you've been stuck in your role, stick with me through the entire video and I will show you how I solved that problem. And it was a me problem. And I'll walk you step by step how to solve that problem. So, problem one, I had no clarity on what I wanted to do. So I got to the city that I wanted to be in, got the role that I wanted, got to basically build a business from scratch, choose every person that we hired. First started with my management team, made sure I had that right. And then literally every employee, I put my stamp of approval on. And during that time, you're building that business, you're building the marketplace. Life was happening. So, at the time, me and my girlfriend moved here. We got engaged. Then ultimately, we got married during that time period. We had our first child. Like I said, we were building this business. And, you're getting rewarded along the way. People see the great work that I'm doing and my team's doing. So I got to do some really cool experiences and projects and things like that. Also, outside of work, building my friend group, building my network. Love to play basketball, so building in that community, working on my golf game, which is mediocre, but hopefully getting better. Definitely better than when I first moved here. Problem two, kind of the industry I'm in, it changes a lot. So, it's constantly changing leadership due to territory change. Huge companies. So, typically every 3 to 4 years, there would be some type of realignment. So, I had to establish rapport with, several people. So I'd had a new boss, seemed like every 2 years. I was in a new territory, got moved around. So, my boss was reporting to somebody else, and then I'd get a new boss that was reporting to somebody else. So, not really consistent as far as who I reported to, so had to build those relationships over and over. Getting moved around, have new peers that you have to build relationships with build networking. Also, I'm not perfect. I made some bad hiring decisions, so I did learn from that. But that everybody goes through that. So you may ignore red flags, but you have to figure out how to navigate through that. So, that was another piece that kind of held me back. Then my third problem was, other great leaders that wanted to move up as well. So, I get asked to interview for these positions, but guess what? When you're in a huge company, there's a lot of great leaders. So you have to win over that hiring manager. So one, you have to know who that hiring manager is. If you don't have a relationship with them, if you got time to build it before the interview, that obviously helps. But not a lot of times is that always a possibility. So you have to win in that interview, and I was not good at all. I'd say I love to rate things on a scale of 1 to 10. I would rate myself like a 3. I was world class at getting people ready to interview, but when it came to me, interviewing so seldom, it was very difficult for me. Also, as the economy changes, that impacts the numbers of open roles. When things are going well, big companies yeah, we're going to do this, and this. This is our growth strategy. And then when, economy goes down, those support roles dry up. There's realignment, less and less positions. There's still the same demand. People want to get promoted. They want to make more money. They want to impact the business on a larger level. So my solution: one, you have to become crystal clear on where you want to live. Number one, I moved around a lot for the company. And it was all places that I wanted to go, but it's really based upon what roles were open and could I see myself living in that city. So once I got clarity on that, then you got to get clarity on what role you want to focus on. Do you want to stay kind of in the same lane that you're in, or do you want to go to a different type of support role, or a lot of questions to figure out there. And then ensure the hiring manager and I were aligned. So, you'd see these roles pop up. You may have a conversation with your boss. Hey, I would like to apply and interview for this. And typically they're like, yeah, go for it. But didn't really have a clear plan on, what that roadmap looked like until the job was posted. And quite honestly, it's probably too late once that's the case. So really having a clear plan with you and your boss, so you can really navigate that process. All right, second solution. So recognize where the gaps were that prevented me from getting promoted. So I interviewed for about 5 different roles, and I always got second or third, runner up for these interviews. So I listened to the feedback instead of writing it off as, hey, they already knew who they wanted. Because that's your first inclination. Like when you have results like I had, just win after win, increase after increase, nail every metric, like focus on people, promoted probably the highest percentage of people for my marketplace, than anybody in the company. So listen to that feedback. And the feedback from me was, hey, you have to be able to sell yourself. So, for me, to get promoted, it was not about performance. It was about showing my value and celebrating my wins. Okay. So third solution, how I tripled my income in less than 3 years. And this is probably the most important piece. So the other ones are kind of prerequisites that kind of set you up and understand where you want to be. But I reach out to my former peers that I did some special projects with, and they'd received multiple promotions. So promotion after promotion, they were no longer in the same kind of field that I was in. They transitioned to a support role that was, they got to do some really cool things. So I asked for honest feedback and how they got to where I wanted to go, basically. And the biggest piece of advice was, one of them asked, hey, send me your resume. So I sent her my resume. I said, hey, I use this resume writer, and I'll give you the contact information. So he is pricey, and it was almost $500. So step one, I hired a resume writer. Before I did that, I had to convince myself that it was worth the $500 investment. But that $500 changed not only my career, but my life. So really what we did, took me a week to research, every win that I had. So needed to do that to rewrite my resume. Kind of step 5 was the self-realization of taking that data and using it to my advantage and creating a new strategy to use in introductions, interactions, interviews. And that was the biggest piece, is learning how to sell myself. So I learned how to highlight my wins in introductions and show the how I got the results later in the interview. It's pretty wild that everybody has a resume and they feel pretty solid about it. They put some work into it. But if I had not reached out and hired that resume writer, and I did all the hard work. They just told me, hey, I need you to research this, and this. It took me a long time. It took me reaching out to some of my former bosses to see if they even had my old reviews. But like I said, just incredible results. And it really changed my life. So, all right. So, lastly, during that research process, something clicked for me. It was my aha moment not only in my career, but in my life. So I use this formula that got me unstuck. It landed me my next two roles that I interviewed for. So I go from basically getting an offer probably 10% of the time to 20%, I would say, of all the jobs that I interviewed for, to where I was getting offers. I was turning down more jobs than I accepted. And this led me to increase my earning potential by threefold. So tripled my income potential in a little over 2 years. So I taught this to others that were in a similar work, and it works time and time again. So that is how I tripled my income in less than 3 years. And if you'd like to work with me, I can help you as well. Drop a link in the comments, or you can connect with me or someone from my team, and we will we'll get you set up, and we'll get this ball rolling. And like I said, to me, it's the most important thing that I figured out in my career, and I really love helping people figure that out and then helping them earn more money and get to where they want to be in their career. So if that's something that interests you, reach out to me. I'll drop a link in the comments below, and look forward to seeing you soon.